Sorry about that. I think my microphone was not up enough. All right, guys. Welcome to IT Security Labs. And today I'm just going to show you how we can work with firewall logs from our pfSense firewall. Last time I showed you how to set up, well, I sort of showed you why we need a real firewall in our home lab, and also why it's important to have a firewall. And I showed you some documentation that can make it possible for you to be able to deploy a firewall. And so today I just wanted to show you a little bit about what you can do with after deploying that firewall. What can you really use that firewall for? How can you learn cybersecurity skills from a firewall? Thanks, Jones Walker. I just fixed the mic right now. Let's see. Let me know in the comments if everything is well now. That was an interesting thing. I was on mute. Okay, let me just check this on my phone here quick to make sure that you can hear me. But yeah, today I just want to talk about firewall logs and make sure that we can work with firewalls. So if you can hear me, I know there's a delay for about like a minute. So by the time you tell me, I'll probably have figured it out. But I just wanted to talk about this firewall because I think this is a. Do I need moderators right now? Let's see. Jones, can you please let me know if my mic is working? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So back to the firewall. So in my lab network, I have a pfSense firewall that I use, and here's what it looks like. And as you can see here, this is a firewall that is actually accepting incoming connections right now. It's there's traffic coming in. This is just a normal lab environment. Nothing really serious. Oh, let's mute that. So what I have here is let me pull an iDraw network diagram so I can show you before we start poking around. Today I'm going to show you how I was able to ship these logs from here into Elasticsearch, and we will drill down into some of these logs, how you can go and not only use these graphs but also be able to look at individual logs for threat hunting. So if you are looking for specific threats within your environment, you can go and query the firewall logs. They can tell you a story about who has been in your network, how have they been accessing your network, what clients were they communicating with, and you can build a profile of sort of an attacker, so to say, if they were in your network. You can also use these logs to understand what kind of traffic do you really work with? How many connections do you make, and to whom do you make those connections to? What kind of traffic do you drop on your interfaces? And then you can adjust your firewall rules if you need to. You can also make informed decisions on capacity planning depending on how much traffic you see coming in and out of your firewall. You can decide on whether you're going to need a bigger firewall in the future. Or something like that. So we're going to be looking at that right now. And let me do this. The first thing that I wanted to cover is we have pfSense, and I'm going to show you a network diagram here, draw.io, that I have. And then from this network diagram, you're going to see that this pfSense that I have here is not actually my main firewall. It's actually just connected to my other firewall. In fact, this is a second lab network that I can safely use for presentations like this with you guys. Let me see if I can find my network diagram here, draw.io. And it's good to see everybody. Thank you all for joining. We've been doing this for a few weeks now, and people have been consistently joining me, so that's really awesome. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you spending some time with me. So here's a network diagram that we have, and from here, as you can see, this is a generic network diagram, and what I would do here is I would say I would duplicate this. I have my main firewall. Then in addition to this firewall, I have another firewall that is connected, let's say somewhere right here. Let's just make a quick connector here. So my pfSense is connected to a main firewall. So the one that you're looking at right now is connected to my main firewall. Then I have some rules that I created on the main firewall on what it can allow and not allow. So right now I'm able to access my second pfSense firewall from my main home firewall. And if you're going to set this up in your own lab environment, that's what I encourage you to do, especially if you plan on doing some scans and all that stuff. You might take down your network if you're doing a lot of testing and manipulation. So for the sake of setting up a home lab environment, set up a separate pfSense appliance that's different from the main one. And then once you do that, have your home network on a different switch than your lab network, preferably physically separated, not on the same hardware. So don't have say same hardware for your home network. So the pfSense firewall that we're going to be looking at today does not have internet access. It's not connected here. It's actually a separate firewall. And that's what I just wanted to cover very quickly here to make sure that we have that covered. So this is not on the main firewall, but in fact, it's on a separate network. I have it connected to 192.168.38.1 network. And this is just a test network where I actually plan on playing with some exploits during this coming week, which I think will be great. So how do we set up this firewall to the point where we can send the logs and be able to understand it? Well, the first thing that we need to understand is that the firewall is one of the most important network devices out there, and being able to know and manage it properly is going to be integral to your success, especially if you work for a small to medium company. With a firewall that is misconfigured, people can get in a lot of trouble. Attackers can easily get in without any gates really. So the first thing to understand is you need to spend some time. If you don't have good knowledge about how firewalls work, this is one of those things that is definitely worth spending your time. And even understanding how firewalls work on the system level, say a system firewall, is really going to be helpful for anyone really who works in cybersecurity in general. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, you set up your own firewall however you want. I mentioned that in my previous video if you haven't seen it. In this case, my firewall here, since it's for testing, I'll just show you some rules first because I think it's a good place to start with. Right now, I was just playing around with my rules. I'd allowed my WAN interface here. These rules are going to be very, very important, especially in production, because you can break things. I've broken things before in production by just creating rules without fully understanding who they're going to impact, especially if you're going to be blocking things. Don't go to work and just jump and say, oh, this firewall is too open. Let me start closing it. Sometimes there's a reason why somebody set it up that way. I learned that the hard way in production. Then next, we need to understand how these rules are going to work, especially on the WAN interface here. The WAN interface is going to be the one that's connected to our internet. Then the LAN interface is what our local area network is. And this is, I'm just saying this for those who haven't worked with firewalls before, who might be watching this video. All right, so in this lab, my main concern is I want to collect logs for both LAN and WAN. If you have a firewall that is connected to the internet, you're going to have a lot of logs. So you might want to only collect the ones from the LAN, because the WAN interface is going to be very loud, especially with the setup that I have here. If you do this on one that is connected to the internet, you need to make sure that you rotate your logs very often to make sure you don't run out of space. So, and how am I collecting these logs, and what kind of logs am I looking for? Well, first of all, I'm running services here. One of them is Suricata. I'm running Suricata on the LAN and on the WAN interface. And Suricata is an intrusion detection system. And in this case, I'm just using it for detection. You can also use it as an intrusion prevention system if you allow blocking mode, but I have it disabled. I just want to detect if there's any malicious traffic that's going through or suspicious traffic. I wanted Suricata to be able to detect. As you can see, I disabled my WAN interface here because it's very loud, and I'll be showing you what this looks like in Kibana in a little bit. But so that's what I have here. I have Suricata running. Another service that I have running is SoftFlow. This one I'm not going to cover it today. I'll cover it at a different time. I'm still playing with it. But as far as the service is, it's just Suricata right now. And if you go to your, I believe it's status system logs, the firewall logs everything. Like literally, it logs a lot of things. So here are logs that are coming into this firewall right now as we speak. With my Suricata enabled, my Suricata intrusion detection is logging everything. So make sure you have enough storage, or you are rotating your logs. In this case, you see Suricata, but there's a lot of logs about gateways, routing, DNS resolvers. I can show you this because it's not connected to the internet, so you won't be able to see much here. If you have wireless, you'll be able to see here DHCP, if there's any DHCP messages that are going through, and you'll be able to capture these and send them to Elasticsearch. See them, like for example, see who has been making DHCP requests and who has been giving out DHCP requests, just in case you have a rogue DHCP server in your environment. So there's a lot of logs that you can get from your firewall, and being able to make good use of those logs can really make you a better security professional, especially when there's an incident. You need to know where to go to look for and what to look for. So that brings us to what I wanted to share with you, which is then how do we get all this information that the firewall is doing? How do we know how our firewall is doing in terms of what kind of traffic is it processing? What ports are open, and how do I know if something is wrong, or if somebody's say sending me a lot of packets, if somebody's brute forcing something? How do I know if there's too much traffic to a command and control environment somewhere? Someone managed to get into my environment and they're exfiltrating data. Is there a way for my firewall to tell me that? And that's where this firewall becomes really important for security professionals. Is it can answer those questions if you know where to look for and what to look for. So let's go to our Kibana for a second. Before I show you how to set it up, I wanted to show you what we have, right? This is just a few graphs that you can create from that data that I was just showing you, where the firewall is very loud, is logging everything. You can see the source, the destination IP address, location, geolocation. I know some companies will geofence, meaning they block everybody. They say we don't do business with, say, Australia, so we have no business having our traffic from our servers going there. So they will say, for this segment of our network, there is no reason why they should be talking to any servers that is in China, for example. So this can help you. And there's a count here. So I have 10 within the past 15 minutes in the United States. This is because I'm just going to DNS 8.8.8.8, and that's what this is here. Top blocked destination IP addresses. In this case, you are seeing this one right here, which is just a local IP address. These are not real public IP addresses, really, because, like I said, this is not connected to the internet. But if you had any traffic that is violating some of your firewall rules, for example, and traffic was blocked, these will be blocked IP addresses that you can see. And for the most part, you will get to know your traffic, right? You get to understand, oh, okay, there's maybe 100 events that get blocked from some random IP address at any given time. Then one day you might come to work and there's 10,000 events from one IP address and it's just getting blocked over and over and over again. Then you would know maybe somebody's trying to coordinate a distributed denial of service attack against you or something like that. So that's where maybe this graph might help you. And then this is events over time. In fact, let's make this range bigger to maybe last hour. And let's refresh that. So this is going to just show us a bigger range within an hour or 24 hours. And now, as you can see, over time, you can see your events over time. I'm averaging about what? 250, 200, 250. If you are entrusted with a network, you get to know your normal usage within your environment. And you know, well, usually we have 10,000 events, for example. Then any spikes to 100,000 events should and alarm you. So maybe you want to set up an alert on this and say, if we ever reach 100,000 events, not only do I want to know for security purposes, but I also want to know for capacity building. What if all of a sudden we just happen to have more traffic coming in and you are not aware? This thing needs to be able to keep up. If you look at the resources right here, it actually you can actually exhaust a lot of resources right here. The CPU, the memory, your disk space. You need to be able to make sure that if your events spike, maybe this might tell you that something really is going on. Then, of course, with blocked traffic here, if I expand it longer, you see that you have by protocol TCP and UDP, and that might help you. This one is not coming up. I need to fix this one and this one. And I'll show you how to create these manually so you don't have to actually rely on importing other people's, which like I did here. Then down here, you actually get the real events if you wanted, and you can expand. You can tell the interfaces here. You can expand here to actually see what is really going on, which interface, which network, and what type of event this was. So as you can see, guys, this can be really, really important data. I cannot emphasize that enough. So if you're interested in learning about defensive cybersecurity skills, this is a really great place to get started. Have a firewall, log the events at your house. Try to figure out who are the biggest talkers within your network. What servers are they communicating to on the internet? Try to get some answers from your own network. Then when you go to a bigger environment, it will become very easy for you to extrapolate that knowledge and say, well, I know how traffic behaves. I know how to look at these logs in real time. And then you can adapt this knowledge to any enterprise grade, say firewall that they might give you that comes with this pre-configured. All right, so that was sort of like a quick rundown of what I have here. And does anyone have any questions? I see that we do have a few people here. Let me check. Oh, John says, anyway, I can share my visualization. Yes, this is not mine. This one, I actually borrowed it from somebody else. on the internet. I'll share the links with everybody. You can import this dashboard very easily. In fact, everything that I have here was scripted by someone. You can install this and run it within a few minutes, and there's really no advanced knowledge needed to set this up. This is super easy to set up, and I'm more interested in how we really use it, because I think that's where things get really interesting, especially if you're interested in threat hunting. Oh no, that's actually what I'm going to cover next. Let me find my other graph here. Jones Walker said, was it hard to forward logs to Elasticsearch from pfSense? Let me just show you right now very quickly how the process goes. It's super easy. All right. So to forward the logs from pfSense, it's just 2 steps. And here's what you do. You just go in your pfSense firewall here. You go to was it status, system logs, and then settings. And within these settings here, look what I have here. All right, next time I'm actually getting rid of this green screen stuff. It's distracting me. Oh yeah, Juniper Blake says, is there any way to install this on a laptop? Yes, yeah, definitely. You can just have a VM with a pfSense, a VM with Elastic, and another VM as a client, and you can do this. I actually did this, and I made a video about it about 6 months ago. So yes, you can definitely do this. All right, so to forward from pfSense, this is the only place you need to go. You come down here to status, system logs, and go all the way down here, and remote log servers. Put your Elasticsearch server down here. Here, don't do what I did. I mean, you can. I'm not saying, but this might become too much if you are doing it, say, in a VM on a laptop or a small machine. This might really take a lot of your space if you log everything. So I would select a few things here like firewall logs, but right now I'm choosing everything, and I'm pointing them to my Elastic machine. You can put multiple destinations here, which I think is really great. For source, you want to choose default any, but for me in this case I chose WAN because the WAN interface is the only one that's feeding my logs that are actually going externally. So I'm shipping my logs from my internal LAN network of this lab to another lab through the WAN interface. So that's why this is going to the 55 network from the 38 network. So that's why this is here. And then if you want to enable logs to Suricata, you just go to your Suricata. And in fact, let me, I don't want to enable this one right now because Suricata is very loud. Suricata logs everything. But if you just go in here and click edit, you need to make sure that send alerts to system log is checked, and then local one notice, and then yeah, that's about it. That's what you need to do, is make sure that these alerts are being sent, and you want to make sure that they're being sent in JSON. I'll share a link with instructions on exactly which options to choose here, which is very, very easy to set up. Okay, so you're saying my VM with Elastic Logstash Kibana is something I built, or am I using Security Onion? Actually, this is something that I built myself. I'm not using Security Onion. And the reason why I'm shying away from Security Onion is because of the fact that I work as an engineer right now, and I don't like the fact that with Security Onion, if something breaks, I don't know where to look, and I have to understand how they did it and where they put things and how they customized it. So instead of using Security Onion, which I highly encourage other people to use, I actually build my own. I put mine together using the components that I want. And this way, I know exactly where things are. I know exactly how it's set up. And if something is broken, I know where to find it. Last time my Suricata stopped working because my logs had filled up the whole drive. I knew exactly where to look at for that in that environment. So Security Onion, other people, I highly encourage them to use, but for my sake, I like to know how they configure it. How is Logstash dealing with these logs? How are the grok filters working? Is there a way I can go and tweak it? But for most people who just want to learn it, I think Security Onion is going to be good. All right, so this is where you actually send these logs from your pfSense to Elasticsearch. And here is a quick view of what my Elasticsearch looks like. And Juniper Black, this is where things get really. This is where things get really interesting. This is where I love to spend my time in, right? I didn't write this filter right here that you're looking at. Somebody did, but I like to come in here and tweak this to my liking. I like to come in here and understand how they're doing it. I'm not there yet, but my goal is to be able to, hopefully in the future, contribute to the community by making better filters like they're doing, being able to work with this in a more granular level. So let's exit out of here. Let me show you what we are using. So this is the SIEM environment solution that is running the whole dashboards that we were looking at here. And to be able to get those logs from pfSense, I'm sending them to Logstash. And Logstash allows me to not only accept the logs, but also parse the logs and break the fields down into specific fields that you want, and also send them to Kibana for analysis. So in a little bit here, I'm going to show you how exactly it looks like once the logs are ingested from here. So in Logstash, let's go one directory down. If you go in here, we have these two directories, conf.d, and this is the Synesis Lite that I did last time for this, which is super easy to set up. So check out my other video if you want. We were sending the logs this way to Logstash, allow import to SIEM or just a dashboard. So this is, yes, you can import this dashboard by sending the logs this way. You can import this dashboard exactly the same way by following the steps that I will share with you in a document. Yes, there's already a template that somebody created that you can do without any trouble. So yes, the way I showed you works exactly. So in here, we're interested in what's in conf.d here. This is where all the magic happens. And you want to spend more time here. If you implement this in production, you really need to be able to troubleshoot it. So understanding how these components work is going to be important. And the only part that you need to change after following the instructions that we have is this one, the inputs.conf. This is going to tell Logstash where to expect input from and what port to expect input from. So if you say, let's tab that. You see my host, where I'm expecting input from is 192.168.5.54. That's my pfSense. But you can also add more if you have multiple here. And right here, I can change this if I wanted to. I can change, instead of naming it Firewall, I can name it Firewall 1. If say if I have 10 firewalls, I can have Firewall 1 up to 10 or named. That way, when each firewall sends its logs, they can be tagged. Then you can view them later, which in a little bit here I'll be showing you. So this is the input, and from the document that I'm sharing with you in a little bit here, this is only the place that you need to change right here. After changing this one and putting all the other configuration files in place, you'll be good to go. Let's just quit. But I don't want you to just be robotic and just grab somebody's configuration and just run it. We need to understand what's going on, right? So this is the file that tells us where to get the input and what to do with the input. This one is the one that's specific for the firewall logs, and this is for the other logs that are not included in the firewall logs, like the sys logs and other stuff. This is for the suricata and snort, which I'm excited to add snort from pfSense. Then the geolocation IP, these ones you just copy them the way they are from GitHub, really. And then even the patterns, you just copy all of them the way they are. But the magic happens in here with this one, the pfElk.grok. So if you don't know what pfElk is, that's the name of the project that I'm using to run this. So in Google, type pfElk. The GitHub page for this is where I grabbed this stuff. So if I cat this one, this is what is parsing our logs. It's going through every log, and if a log matches any of these criteria, it gets broken down into these fields. So at a high level, this is the engine. This is where the logs are brewing, in fact. So now that we know where things are, all we need to do is make sure that all these components are in place using the pfElk GitHub location and configuration. You can even set up in Docker if you want. Then after setting it up, you'll be able to get here. In fact, let's just go to that. I keep mentioning pfElk. Oh. It's one of the first. You see this project right here? There we go. So from this project, that's what you're going to be getting. And the creator of this project was very excited. He told me to bring it to my channel. So that's why you see it here. He thought you guys will enjoy it. So if you are interested, you get not only an Ansible playbook here that if you are not interested in all this stuff here, all you need to do is run a Docker Compose app and Ansible will configure it for you. So if you just want a quick setup, you'll be up and running with this thing in less than 15 minutes using the OpenStack option. So make sure to check this project out. I'm just going to put this link in the comments right now. So now that you know where this project is, when you implement it, you end up with something similar to this. I imported their dashboard, which the importing process for the dashboard that you're looking at is literally coming in here. You open this in a new tab somewhere, roll this, save it, and import it in Kibana. Like right click here and save as. Then once you save it, come to Kibana, import it. They even tell you how to do it if you are not setting it up. Then after you set it up, this is where the fun begins, right? You went through all this hassle of putting it together. You designed your infrastructure. You made sure that this lab is not exposed to the internet. You have a little bit of traffic flowing through this firewall. You want to see, does this thing really work? Because I think that's where the fun begins. We went through all this hell of setting it up. What do we use it for? How important is it for me as a cybersecurity professional or as a future security professional? What can I get from this? Is there anything I can learn from this that I can bring to work, to my employer, and bring value to them? Or is there something I can create that has never been created before? Graphs are pretty and they're great. I like them. They can give me a quick overview. I like to see the logs in action. let's go and discover these logs in action. So these logs, well, okay. I was like, wait a second, where are my logs? Let me remove this right here. These logs, if you go to your index patterns here, they'll be under pf dash star. You need to create this in index pattern by yourself. But as you can see raw logs, and this is where you might have a lot of fun. Here's a quick example. Someone comes to you and says, "Hey, we think that this server in our data center is under a distributed denial of service attack. I'm seeing too much traffic. I believe somebody's spamming us or something like that." Then you are like, "Sure." You come to your firewall and you can say you can say destination IP if I can type IP keyword or IP, then you can just say equals to let's put that one. Now I'm just filtering traffic that is going to that one location. Okay, that one didn't give me anything. Let's do it again. So as you can see, from here you can choose, oh, I want to see traffic that's going to this server. From here, can I see something like that? So this is a Windows domain controller in this environment. So I want to see what is the traffic that is coming from that other lab to this Windows domain controller. And what kind of traffic is it? Okay, it's outbound. We're using it as a domain controller, so it makes sense that it's outbound, right? And I'm expecting the port to be 53, but if we just wanted to read the actual log, I'm expecting it to be I was expecting this to be a DNS query. Yes, right here, destination.port 53. So this confirms my understanding of what traffic I'm expecting to be going to this. And as you can see, the DNS queries are sporadic. This is not a very active lab. And the few times that I go to there for DNS queries, that's really awesome. I can tell a story by looking at this data. And that is a skill that I think is very important than just being thrown in a SOC center and say, look at these logs. If this rule fires, escalate it to engineers. This is where I think the learning really begins to become fun, and the understanding becomes even better. So, and that's why I'm very excited to share with you guys, because not only that, but let's really see what else are we getting here. I just removed that domain controller there because that's an interesting one, right? I'm interested in what are the link locals. You can spend more time here just looking at all this traffic. Um, the beauty about the great thing about working with data that looks like this in here is that you can come in here and say remove all these. You can customize this to your liking, to exactly what you want to see. So you're saying, okay, this is what the raw logs look like before you start filtering them. But you say, okay, I want to see network direction. Are they inbound or outbound? Okay, I want to see, you say, destination IP. By just clicking there, you see that I have the top 5 values. I see that 8.8.8.8 is, because I said that that's a Google's DNS. I set that as a DNS for the pfSense, and you can see right here that is right here. So the traffic that's generated by it being a DNS server here is more for this lab. That's why 8.8.8 is the top one, followed by this one, which I am not sure what that is. then 192.168.38.5, which is a Windows machine in this lab. So you can create a graph from just this information, or you can add this right here. Now I have network direction, destination IP, destination port. So you get the idea. You can sort this to and filter out the values that you want. And once you do that, you can save this visualization and drill down on it whenever you want. And you can tell a story from here. So let's remove that. There are a lot of fields that you can work with. As you can see, I mean, it's insane. All right. So that's how you can work with data in real life. So if I, for example, let's trigger an event right now, actually. Let's trigger an event here and watch it and see what really happens. I want to see if this thing is actually working or not, because it would be a waste of time if you went through the process of setting it up and it doesn't even work. Let me fire up my Kali Linux here. I'm signing into my Kali Linux. I'm going to find out what the IP address is here. My Kali is 192.168.5.66. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my pfSense and create a firewall rule that says do not let 5.66 come in. So we're going to our rules here. This is just testing this thing and make sure that I can see that it's actually blocking. So I'm going to say, yeah, let's allow everybody. So let's enable this rule. Let's allow all the traffic from one lab network to another lab network right now. I have 2 labs. And I have this one here when I want to do other things and when I want to just have some traffic transferred or files transferred and I don't want to deal with firewall blocking me, I do this. But of course, I have a description here. In fact, these descriptions, before I show you that demo, you can see them right here. So when in a minute right now, we're going to see that one that says, do you really want to allow any to WAN? It's going to be here. And this is the count of how many rules were triggered by that firewall rule that we have. So let's go back here. So now that we are allowing any, we are also saying let's block 192.168.5.66 from even coming in, because why would we do that? So from our Kali Linux, I already did this. If I just ran an nmap scan or a ping, whatever, I should be able to see that there was traffic that was blocked right now. And this information should be in Kibana. Okay. So top blocked destinations is right here. Top blocking destinations, and that's what I should have named this thing here as, is the interface. If I go to my data, let's go back here. Let's go and filter and see if anything really happened here, because I think it's important. Oh, look at that. That is just from that nmap scan that I just did. By running nmap, I generated these events. Let's filter, let's drill down to that time. By just clicking here, I'm going to filter to that specific time and it's going to tell me all these events that happened. Okay, so let me add the source. And let's look at the interface areas. We can even add the network name here. But I think the one on port 80 is the one that we are looking at. Oh, this was a pass. Let's find out here. I'm trying to think. Action, event.action. I'm looking for any blocked traffic on the WAN. So yep, there we go. Now I'm seeing stuff that was blocked. I need to confirm, is this really coming from my Kali Linux.66? So let's add source here. Source.ip. This way we can see what's really happening. All right. So we have blocked. This is what I'm talking about. I ran a quick nmap. I have a firewall rule that's blocking traffic here. And look at all this coming from one place. This is my Kali Linux 192.168.5.66 was blocked on the WAN interface. And it's using all these random ports because that's just an nmap scan that I ran to find service. And in fact, it generated a bunch of things here. So that's a quick demo of what you can do with this thing here. I hope you found value in this. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope it's enjoyable as much as I do. I seem to have too much fun with it. I'm looking forward to spending more time learning more about what I can do with this, especially for threat hunting. I would really like to generate some interesting payloads towards, say, a Windows machine to see if Suricata works and all those things. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Thank you for joining me. And right now, I'm just going to hang out with you guys for a few minutes. If you have any questions about the setup or anything we can cover before we call it a night. Thanks, Walker. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. What are you guys working on? I'm very curious. What is everybody working on? What are you learning? What are your new projects? I do this for about maybe an hour or so a week when I get a chance. Oh, the lab is right here. Oh, this is one of them. I'm actually working on I'm buying a server rack, like a 12U on Amazon. Then I'm going to rack it up. I'm going to take a video showing you guys the different machines. So far I have I have 3 servers, R710, R720, and a 2950. 2950 is too loud. They're all Dell. It's too loud and takes too many resources. So I rely on my R710 and R720. So this is the R710. For this one, I have 96 gigs of RAM, and I think I'm running out. Yeah, so this, let's go to summary. This one is 96 gigs of RAM, 12 cores, and about 3 terabytes of RAID 5, not even SSD. So it's a little slow. If it were up to me, I'll reduce everything to just maybe 2 servers. I prefer it to be local because last time I moved to Azure, I got a bill. I didn't like it. I got a really large bill when I was playing with Elastic. For example, to be able to run the Elk Sim machine, for it to perform even decently, it needs 16 gigs of RAM. I gave this one 16 gigs of RAM and about half a terabyte. I did this on Azure and they sent me a hefty bill that I didn't like. So I came back to my house. But yeah, you can use Azure or other stuff. Yeah, I mean, I really like the cloud. It's just that when I sent, I think I forgot the lab running for 2 days, and that really raked in a bunch of money. And I realized that I would rather have it here in my basement. And in fact, soon after this video, I was going to go to eBay and shop for a server with better specs. I want one R720s. They're cheaper, and I'm torn between R720 and Supermicro because Supermicro also does well. Then the goal is to just have really nice, efficient servers that work. And if you do run these R7, or you have an R730, that is even a precision. That is nice. That's more power efficient than mine. I measure the power using Grafana for this thing. It cost me about $25 a month to run the for the whole lab. I think it's about $35. The reason why it's $35 to run two servers is because most of my networking gear right now is running on Cisco Meraki, tiny little devices. That's why. Oh yeah, can you please share the link to your server rack? I'm very curious. Was the one that I want? I just want a simple 12U server. I think that would be good. And if anyone on this stream knows a really nice, efficient server, please let me know. I mean, an efficient server rack. I'm in the market for a server rack right now. So please let me know which one I can buy. Oh, I'm assuming you mean the Meraki? Yes. Yes, it was a 3 year free trial stuff from a, actually, I think they're expiring soon. I might need to move to Ubiquity. When the Meraki, I have Meraki gear right now in my lab. The moment it expires, I'm going to move straight to Ubiquity. There is no way I'm going to stick around with Meraki. I cannot afford to pay the Switch subscription, the Firewall subscription, and the access points subscription. I have 2 access points. That would that's quite a few $1,000 just for home networking gear. Not gonna happen for that. So I'm moving to Ubiquity and have a whole unified network. I've seen a few people with Unify. So depending on when my licenses expire for Meraki, I'll be a Ubiquity shop. And look what happens. Just because of that filtering here, it's only showing me the one machine here. Okay. Oh yeah, Jones, that is awesome. Do you have the whole stuff? And for those who are just joining, I just got done showing everybody how sort of quick overview of how this works and what we can use it for. And right now it's just a matter of we're just chatting. So if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. If you want to know anything, I might be able to answer you. Let me change my time range here. Let's go to last 15 minutes. Oh, Unified Dream Machine. That is awesome. That is really great. So, as you can see now, if you are an administrator, this should alert you that, all of a sudden you have one IP address that is a bunch of blocked ports, and you need to know what's really going on there, right? Oh, nice, nice. That is really great stuff. Hey, but by the way, before we go, can you tell me what do you run on your labs? What kind of services are you running? So in this lab, in addition to the security monitoring stuff, I run Grafana for monitoring metrics. So there's two types of monitoring that I do: the security stuff with Suricata, host-based intrusion detection system, and all that stuff. Then I also want to know the metrics with Grafana, and Grafana is really awesome. So that's where I measure the power of what's going on, um, who is down, and all that stuff. And it's super simple to set up too. And I do run some services on the home network side. Like instead of paying for software for stuff, I host my own software. Which is awesome. And thank you all very much for joining. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing to this channel. I started this YouTube channel, what, almost a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And it was just a hobby where I was like, wow, I got this thing that I found out that I can do. Let me make a video about it. And people like it. And I think we almost have 3,400, if not 3,500 people so far we have joined. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Apparently, YouTube shows people how my videos more if people subscribe. Oh, how is Grafana compared to Elastic dashboards? That's a good question, Hisham. And by the way, go to and subscribe to his channel. He makes really awesome security videos as well. Great guy. He posts in our Facebook group as well. As far as Grafana and Kibana dashboards, if you asked me this question about a year ago, I would have said Grafana is better. But Elastic has come a long way. Elasticsearch, the fact that we can visualize logs in text format and manipulate them and search them made Kibana more powerful. So as far as the dashboards are concerned, Grafana produces way more elegant dashboards, easily, by far. Grafana produces really great dashboards. Then Kibana produces great dashboards, but you need to know how to work with the back end. For Kibana, for example, excuse me, this stuff right here, this is exactly why people run away from Kibana. Parsing logs, if you just give me any random log and have me put it in here, I would have to work with the bits that come with Elastic. But with Grafana, you can just send your data to Logstash, to InfluxDB, and Grafana knows how to parse them from there without even too much hassle. So as far as learning, Grafana is easier to learn by far. As far as how powerful and robust, these dashboards here with Kibana are way better. And for different reasons, for system metrics that are not security related, I would definitely go with Grafana. For security stuff like this, I would definitely go with Kibana, because Kibana nowadays comes with the Elk SIM, which is really, really awesome. Awesome. So Jones, you said you're running a couple of Windows and Linux endpoints. Oh, that's great. On that note, let's go to here. For endpoint monitoring, you should consider Wazuh. In fact, I'm also going to add endpoint monitoring to this right here, because this is the latest version of Elastic, and this is supposed to support endpoint monitoring. But in my old lab here, for endpoint monitoring, I'm using this little tool right here. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's called Wazuh. And I will show you what it looks like. it does auditing for, say, PCI, the Great Britain stuff, the European stuff. I mean, it's awesome. It is a Docker listener. So let's start by looking at. Oh, this was not part of the plan, but I have 8 agents, 6 that are online right now. This is also a lab, right? So let's start with these. Wazuh, Wazuh. Yes. Uh, Here's my Wazuh for monitoring. I find it to be really, really great. All right, so that's that's another one that I'm running in my lab for monitoring a few endpoints, just in case, especially the computer that I connect to the lab for demonstrations. I just want to see what's going on and have it alert. All right. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. And if you joined late, we're just discussing. We got done talking about Elasticsearch and Kibana, and also pfSense. And right now, I'm just answering any questions that people might have, and also, just getting to know you guys and what you have in your lab environment. Oh yeah, this. If I go to, let's go to modules here. You ask a question saying, does it work with Apple, right? Let's go to agents. I'll show you. Oh, that's some events in Wazuh. Yeah, these are the events in Wazuh right now. Wazuh. Yeah, so um these are the agents. Where does this? They usually show. Yeah, here is the operating system. So I have macOS, Ubuntu, Windows, CentOS. Any agent works. I'm pretty sure if you knew how to install it on your phone. Oh yeah, this actually is a very, very Ishan is asking, can I see process creation? Yes. In fact, this thing is very loud. It has too much noise coming from it. So if I go to my security events, all these random events that are running right now are from like process creation. Yes. So as you can see, it's actually monitoring right now at the endpoint level. Let me show you what it looks like when you are tracking a domain controller, because I think a domain controller is loud. Let's go to agents. I have a Windows domain controller, and you'll be able to see what it does here in a little bit. So this is running server 2012. Oh, wait a second. What happened? It disconnected? Okay, never mind. My domain controller disconnected. I'm not sure why. I need to go and fix my agent. But I also have a Windows desktop here. So let's go to the Windows desktop. You should be able to see the processes that are running. So if I went there and ran a PowerShell module, if I went there and it ran a PowerShell module or enabled PowerShell remoting, it will let me know. So right here, let me look at the security events from a Windows desktop. Here are some events from this desktop. Some things fired. So somebody logged in. It's mostly some logging in and what really happened there. So it's really not that helpful until something serious happens. Oh yes, you can. You can definitely use it because it's an open source one, and it allows you to monitor everything. Yes, you can. So for those who are just joining, sort of got distracted. We worked on pfSense earlier, so if you want to see how the logs work and how everything is set up and how you can end up with these graphs here, we covered that earlier. Right now, I'm just answering any questions from you guys. So if you have any questions for me, let me know. But right now, I'm just showing the endpoint security part of my lab, where if you are working on a lab environment, you sort of need to choose sections. And in this case, this is what I have for endpoint monitoring, meaning some of the servers for testing purposes. So let's give this today. This is for the equation for Wazuh. It's free and integrated in Elastic. Yes, it's free. Integrated in Elastic, you add it as an add-on. There is a Wazuh plugin, as you can see here. It shows up here. So you just have to enable the Wazuh plugin. You can run a Wazuh server. So here is what mine looks like. I'm actually running it independent of my Elastic because I don't want them to be conflicting. But as you can see here, it's running independent. So this is just a server, and they give you like a template. Even you can even download an OVA, like a machine, and import it. It will come working. Then you need to do is just point this server to your Elastic environment, and you'll be able to get the dashboards. But these are great questions, guys. Keep them coming. Last time the use case where I did this was I wanted to see if this will be able to detect if somebody enables PowerShell remoting on a machine, or if someone goes to a computer and changes their permissions from being a normal user to being a local admin, for example. This is able to detect that. And that's something that is a simple setup that you can have on critical systems. For example, if you have a kiosk machine at your work and you don't have money for some fancy software, you install Wazuh as an agent there. Have it monitored just in case somebody's messing with it. Or you can set this up on any critical server that you have. If somebody runs any PowerShell commands and bypasses the execution policy for PowerShell, have it alert you, and this can quickly accomplish that. I learned that from being a sysadmin in the SMB environment. I used to be a sysadmin, and not having things in the budget makes you look at open source. And really, guys, this is awesome stuff. All right, so what else? So there's a question here. So he says, so you are sending logs from Wazuh VM to Elasticsearch. Yes, yes, that is correct. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure the reason why I set up a Wazuh VM is because first of all they gave me an OVA pre-configured and everything. So all I needed to do was download it and import it in my vSphere. Then after that, point all my agents to it, and it worked. Yeah, I mean, you can even see more than PowerShell. Like another use case that somebody was doing was you can customize. Say if you learn about an attack that's happening in the wild, you can go and create. If you know its behavior, you can create a rule at the server level and say, "Hey, here's a rule that if you see this, make sure that you trigger it." on any agent. You can use other open source rules that the community makes. There's a huge community of Wazuh people who make rules that you can import. Okay, let's see. Let me find that. You just want the VM for Wazuh, right? I don't remember if I. Oh yeah, there it is. I found it. So you can download a virtual appliance, which I think is awesome. If you're like me, once in a while I become a little. You see, right now I'm downloading it. I'm downloading 3.9, and once you download it, you import this. You import it in your VMware environment. Let's look right now. You asked a good question. Does it use a lot of RAM and CPU? Let's go and find out. Here's what it's using right now. Storage is using 7 gigs. Here is what it's using. If I go to the monitor tab here, can I see some stuff? So this is its usage in my VMware environment. It's very, very lightweight. It doesn't use any RAM or CPU on your clients. Your clients will not even notice that it's there. It's super, super light. Then, of course, your server doesn't even realize it. So you can install it on the same server as your Elastic SIEM, and you'll be able to still make it work. Or you can install it as an independent machine. The reason why I put it independently is because I didn't want to install it. I just wanted to import the OVA. But good questions. All right, so for those who are just joining us, we were talking about this endpoint solution that I'm working on in my lab. I usually use this when I'm testing things. So these are the endpoints. So my lab setup consists of servers that do stuff like monitoring and running applications, and some endpoints like this desktop here, where if I wanted to test my Suricata rules, I just go to Suricata and say fire some, maybe download some suspicious file in this lab and see if Suricata catches it. So that's where I have these endpoints. And in addition to that, I have endpoint security using Wazuh, and everything is free. Everything that I show on this channel is 100% free. I have 2 of these. So you guys know, right? This is the lab that I use for videos mostly, and also it's safe to share with you guys. Then I have another one that I run stuff for my house. On that one, I run things like Plex, photo file servers, and all that stuff for the family. And in addition to that, then I have this one. So this R710 is running VMware ESXi 6.5. It's also running vCenter. You might be wondering, how do I run this VMware software? I'm part of the VMware vExpert program, and I think what is his name? Hishan. I think you should apply for the VMware vExpert program. VMware is very kind to us, especially if you make content and put it out for free to the community. And if you apply to be a vExpert, they will give you all of VMware software for free, because they're saying, wow, if I'm making videos and sharing with you guys, they might as well give it to me for free. And I'm showing you guys to use VMware products, so they're getting free marketing. So Hishan, sorry if I'm butchering your name, you should apply to the VMware vExpert program. They'll give you all the VMware software, including Workstation, which is what I'm running, Fusion or Workstation, which is what I'm running here. So the question was, The question was, what is my ESXi server hardware config? Hardware config, I showed you this is 12 cores for my CPU. As you can see right here, I have 12 cores. I have 90 gigs, 96 gigs of RAM. I'm actually thinking of getting one with 130 something, but 96 is getting too low. I have storage. My storage is on an external NAS device through iSCSI connection. That's 3 terabytes on RAID, striped RAID, and then yeah, that's about it. It's not that bad. In fact, if you don't want to go with VMware, I encourage you to use something like Proxmox, or anything, any one of those. It really doesn't matter. You wanted to see with Sim Elk. Yeah, that's where the Sim Elk is running. My Sim Elk, if you have the resources, give this thing at least 16 gigs of RAM. I had given it 8, it crawls, it becomes super slow. Two things to consider is give it 16 gigs of RAM. Make sure that you also, if possible, have SSDs running or flash storage, something faster than what I have. I have the 720 spinning disks. I mean, it does what it does, but if I fire too much data in it, this might become very, very slow. Then Jones, you said, what does it cost? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean when you say what does it cost. Were you asking about VMware? VMware licenses can be pricey. I'm not sure about the cost, but if you were to buy the ESXi licenses, they'll be expensive. However, if you want to set up this ESXi here, this lab here, you can just do this without vCenter. ESXi is free. You can set up your VMware lab for free. You don't need to subscribe or buy licenses. If you want to be even thrifty, this is what you do. You put the trial license, then you run a Python script that deletes the license file and put it back in as new. So you renew your license over and over again. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother you. So just automate the license renewal. You'll be on a perpetual VMware trial that never ends. It doesn't really matter. But yeah. Yes, I will share a photo of my lab as soon as I rack my equipment. I have my equipment right now stuck on top of each other. I'm buying a server rack, and in fact, Jones, you said you were going to send me. Can you send me a link to a server rack? I'm looking for a 12U server rack. I'm in the market for a server rack for my lab. So for those who are just joining me, if you know of a decent server rack from eBay or Amazon, I would really like to know, because that's the one I'll be showing you guys. I say, is that all virtualized, or are you paying for that? Everything that I show in here is virtualized at my house. I said earlier, I used to have my lab in Azure, then it became too big, and they started sending me big bills. So I ran away and I came back home, because this lab alone, they will charge you a lot of money, especially with Azure. If you start talking about giving 16 gigs of RAM to a machine, 8 CPUs, and all that stuff, they will send you a nice bill. So I prefer to have this server rack at home. I pay about $30 to $40 a month when I'm running this thing all the time. But that's something that I'm willing to pay for what I learn from it. $30 to $40 in electric bills, and I do monitor it. I have a power. I have a thing that monitors power and sends that data to Grafana, so I can visualize it and tell exactly how much the labor alone is costing my house. because it's power hungry. So about Meraki, was it a free firewall in the VM environment? Cisco Meraki, what happens is, I don't know if they still do it, but several years ago they used to say if you attend our webinar, we'll give you a free access point. If you attend this webinar, we'll give you a free this device. Yeah, so I attended a bunch of Meraki webinars and I got these devices with licenses. I'm not sure if they're doing that now or what the policy was, but I got them through because I was working somewhere through my employers, and my employers were okay with me taking them home, and they allowed me to keep them when I left. So yes, you can get the Meraki devices through the Meraki hardware stuff. Does R17 make a lot of noise? Did you? R710 surprisingly is not that loud. It's loud when it starts. It does not. It's not super loud. Well, mine is in the basement to begin with, so I can't tell you really whether it's super loud or not because I don't sit next to it. Um, but yes, the R710 I bought it refurbished. I bought it. Um, Here's a story of what happened when I bought my first server. I was working at help desk. I really wanted so bad to move out of help desk because I wanted to move up. I wanted to learn, and I watched somebody's videos on YouTube, and they say, "Yeah, you need a home lab." And this R710, I found it on Craigslist from someone who was decommissioning a bunch of hardware. He had like 40 of them, like in a pile in a warehouse. And I just reached out to them, and so I got lucky, and I got it for almost like $100 with all this stuff. So right now, if you wanted an R710 with these specs, you're looking at maybe more than $300 for sure. I bought it refurbished, and it's the best investment that I've ever done. If anything, the server that I bought for my home lab has been the best decision that I've ever done having this lab. Because from this lab, I was able to learn the skills that are needed by most employers and be able to actually move to higher positions and be able to perform well because of what I did. Quick tip is, if you go to work and you see that they're implementing a solution and you are curious about it, come home and you spin it up in your lab. You find out, oh, they're using what is that, Zendesk as a help desk software. I'm curious, how do you implement Zendesk as a sysadmin? You go and download the trial version, put it in your lab, fire it up, and you see how it works. You see that they're using some firewall of some sort. You go and grab a trial version of it, spin it in your lab, you play with it. You might find something that you bring back to work. All right, thank you, everybody. We went a little longer, but I'm glad we did because I got to hang out with you guys and also answer a few questions. And for those who are on the Hack the Box, I apologize I didn't get to cover the Hack the Box part because it has been busy. And I hope you keep hacking if you are. And if you have any questions for me, ask in the comments there. I'll be able to get back to them if I get a chance this week. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and let me know any content that you want to see from me. This is exciting for me, and I enjoy doing it. So I hope you keep joining me every week at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Otherwise, guys, have a wonderful night.